So, I mean, I'm not that old, but even I remember a world in which people were suspicious of debt, and it was not considered a virtue to be in hock to somebody else, and it was considered crazy and reckless to base, your business, much less your economy, on debt. And then all of a sudden things changed pretty crisply, and debt became like a respectable business. I sell debt, distressed debt. And then we based the whole economy on debt, and obviously that was insane. But how do you think that change took place in attitudes?
Well, it's interesting. So that really started back in the early 80s. And frankly, I guess not surprisingly, we had that peak in interest rates. And as interest rates started to come down, the allure of debt became more and more appealing because you could borrow at lower and lower interest rates.
Right.
And then, as you said, Tucker, that kind of became the engine of growth for the economy. And we stopped being people who built real things.
Yeah.
And we outsourced all that, hard labor to countries like China and Indonesia and India and whatnot. And we got into the manufacture of paper, which I guess is a much more elegant thing to do. You don't get your fingernails dirty doing that kind of stuff. So we let the rest of the world produce all of our widgets and stuff, and pharmaceuticals, as it turns out, while we manufactured paper claims. And then we imagined that we could grow forever on all this debt that we were printing. Because the rest of the world was so enamored with our dollars that they would continue to fling money at us for any, as egregious as our spending was. They would continue to support us by, lending us money and taking our dollars in return. And that's all changing, and it's changing rapidly. However, here in the U.S., policymakers still have their blinders on, and they imagine that the US dollar will never be challenged as the world's reserve currency, and that we can continue to print money wantonly, indefinitely, and they'll just suck it up. And in reality, they're not doing that anymore. They're not buying our treasury bonds anymore, and they're diversifying actually out of our dollars into gold and into oil and strategic resources. And then they're starting to trade in local currencies so that they don't have to transact in dollars. So I think, the demise of U.S. hegemony is really upon us. And the Biden administration and so many in Washington are just sleeping right through it as if it's not a reality.